evening, everybody. Let me know when you're here so we can begin. Tonight we're going to talk about the man who caught COVID twice and what that means for vaccinations. I can see that I'm live, but I can't see that who's watching. Lily Jane. Hello, Lily Jane. You changed your name, Lily Jane. Sharon Berryman. Hello, Sharon. Shaz in Grovedale. How are you? Angeli, my favorite cosmetics creator, bath bomb babe and bath soak maker. How are you? Linda Stewart. Hello, Linda. Have you started to exercise yet, Linda, in lockdown? Because we talked about this, Linda, and I haven't heard you jump on the train. So let me know if anyone needs a hand with their exercise regime. It's hard in lockdown, you know, just to keep a routine and keep it going. I've fallen off the bandwagon, but I'll get back on if you guys do. Yep, change my name, still Hayley. Cute, Lily. I like Lily, that's cute. Linda Stewart, ha ha ha. You know what I'm talking about, Linda. You told me you'd come to those Zoom workouts, and guess what? I've got something new for us, so let's do it, Linda. Hi from Mildura. Hi, Karen, how are you? What's it like in Mildura, border town? Is it a bit weird? Are people back to moving around? Do you have the 40-kilometre no-go zone? Do your kids go to school on one side or the other? You keep me accountable. I keep us all accountable. As long as we're having one glass of wine a night, doesn't matter how big it is. This is how big it is tonight because it's my second one. What?
I just said it's definitely not your first.
Definitely not my first. Said, special comments in the corner, my little sister Quinn, who picked this jacket for me. It's our little brother's 12th birthday tonight, so happy birthday, Donovan. I know you're not watching because you're in the other room on the computer playing video games. Okay, well, you can get into it. Hi from Adelaide, hi from Maffra, Gippsland. Perfect, okay, well, let's get into it. I've taken lots of notes today, so if I need that wine, I might get Quinn to pass it to me. Hey, Anthea, long time no, join us on the Farty Facts. Hello, Adam. All right, here we go. Come here, mister. Okay, this is my little brother, Donovan. It's his 12th birthday, so happy birthday, Donnie. Homeschooling champion and captain of his school, grade 6. So all the ISO kids are missing out on loads at school and primary school, and this guy especially, captain of his school and not getting to be the top dog for the year, hey? It's all right. Having his big sisters at home is all right, isn't it? All right, happy birthday, mate. Nice t-shirt, Donnie. Yeah, thanks for the present, Adam. We do a little spin around. He loves it. Suits him perfectly. Thank you. All right, happy birthday, Donnie. Okay, so tonight we're going to chat about the guy that got COVID twice. We've had a few instances where we have thought that people had been infected, recovered, and then reinfected, but we had no evidence to tell us whether this person was had just had the virus shedding at very low levels from their initial infection to their second time testing positive. So did these people have the infection initially, then they recovered, but they still had virus shedding at very, very low levels, and then they've either, something's happened, they've got a little bit run down and then the virus was able to take over again, then they've tested positive to the same virus. Or has this person received the virus, he's recovered, and then they've been reinfected. So what we're going to talk about is the guy it was actually Hong Kong. The other night on Tuesday when it came out in the news, I thought that it was South Korea. Two totally different places. It was Hong Kong, and this is the story, this is what happened. Now, early March, this 33-year-old man became very, very unwell, okay? So his symptoms in early March were cough, sputum, like coughing up stuff, sore throat, fever, and he had a headache for 3 days. He was then hospitalized because he became so unwell that he needed hospital care. While he was in hospital care, he was tested for coronavirus and he tested positive in the hospital. So he stayed in hospital for his 14 days until he was recovered, and he then, at the end of his 14-day period, he had a coronavirus test which tested negative. They waited 24 hours, they did another test, and it came back negative. So this guy was clear of replicating virus, no coronavirus in his system. The man then went home, recovered, got on with his jolly old life. Don't know what he did, this 33-year-old man. We should find out more about him. But what happened after that was he travelled to the UK and he travelled to Spain. So he went on this trip, and then he's come back to Hong Kong on he came back to Hong Kong on March 26th after being in Spain and the UK. And when you come back into the airport in Hong Kong, they test you for coronavirus. So they temperature check you and they do a coronavirus test. This guy had no symptoms at all. He did not have a fever, he wasn't coughing, didn't present, so he was asymptomatic, didn't present with any symptoms of a viral disease. But they took the coronavirus sample from his, nasal swab, and it came back positive. So after he arrived in Hong Kong, they then admitted him into hospital as a coronavirus positive case. They put him into a hospital because they wanted to isolate him there, but he did not have any symptoms. They took blood tests. The only thing he had was elevated levels of this certain molecule in your blood. It's called C-reactive protein. It's a really common marker that they look at, and it's a marker of inflammation. Okay, so he had high levels of C-reactive protein, and I believe he was deficient in potassium. That was one of the other kind of anomalies that popped up for him. But they did another coronavirus test at the hospital, and he had really, really high levels of virus inside his system. So he was not unwell at all, but had these huge levels of virus. They monitored him for another week, and his viral titers, they call them, but his levels of the virus gradually petered down right down to none. Then they let him go. Now they've got all this data, and they've put together this kind of story about him. And because this guy had presented and gone to hospital the initial time that he was sick, and that second time that he tested positive, they actually had the samples from the first time he tested positive and now the second time that he was tested positive. What they did was they looked at the genomic sequencing of those samples and looked at the differences between them. So they pulled out those other samples, then they compared it to the new sample, and they were able to show that there was 24 nucleotide differences. Okay, so these are the kind of small, tiny fingerprints inside the virus. There were 24 differences between virus number 1 and virus number 2, which means this man had been reinfected with a different virus. Now, we've discussed many times that the way the virus changes over time is it changes when it moves from one person to another, okay? So this man had a new coronavirus infection. Now, what the entire story tells us about this man is that within a few months of being recovered, he was able to be reinfected. Now, this is kind of expected and kind of disappointing because it means that potentially the coronavirus is behaving like a common cold, which means that you can get this virus multiple times within a season or within a few months of recovering from it, you may get it again. But as we can see from this man's example, he was reinfected, but his symptoms were much, much milder, which means that he already had an immune response that had a memory inside it that was able to help him deal with the second infection. Okay, so all of this means that when we're trying to come up with vaccines, we need to understand how people who have already been infected might also benefit from a vaccine. So if you are vaccinated, does that give you more protection than someone who has recovered naturally from the infection, or does someone who's naturally recovered from the infection who gets the vaccine recover even better from a third infection? So there's lots of things to unpackage from all of this, and I'm just going to pop into my notes to see if I missed anything. Then I'm going to have a look at some of the comments and questions that are popping up here, okay? Right, 3 days later, hospitalized, left hospital. Okay, got all of that. Hong Kong via Spain, high viral load. Yep, not a prolonged infection because of the nucleotide differences. Okay, so all of this means that for countries who are trying to provide herd immunity, natural herd immunity, it's likely not going to work because people are being reinfected in shorter amounts of time. Okay. Seasonal circulation, like the common cold, and it may mean that we need boosters of the vaccine. So you get an initial vaccine, then maybe you need to have a booster to boost your immunity, and maybe that has to happen every year, or maybe every 3 months you're having a jab. Like there's so many unknowns and so many questions that gets raised from this kind of reinfection, and studies need to expand to include people, so vaccination studies and studies on immunity and protection and how we might be protected in the future need to begin to include individuals who have been infected and have recovered from coronavirus for us to understand a little bit more. Okay, after 2 months, common cold. Okay, I've gotten through all my notes. Okay, sorry you're late, Cass. Oh, me too. Oh, Cass. Oh, Emma, we forgot the limoncello. So we had, before I get to questions, tonight we had takeaway Italian food from a little restaurant around town called Il Matto. And Cass, with your BWS voucher that you bought me, I bought a bottle of limoncello for the fam to have a bit later. So we'll have that as like our little dessert. So thanks, Cass. Okay. All right. Okay. Happy birthday, Donovan. Yeah. Okay. Hi. Okay. I think I found all the highs, the g'days, highs. All right. Jess O'Brien, hey cuz, gorgeous boy, well done. It's my brother, just FYI, not my child. Happy birthday, Donnie, Donovan, happy birthday. What school, Donnie? He's at Surf Coast? No, Torquay College. Surf Coast is the high school. Torquay College? Oh yeah, you've already replied to Lily Haley. What a superstar, hi. Speaking of, you're amazing super mum, it seems she is. Okay, Emma, you're a super mum. Peter DeLuca is watching. PDL, how are you? Happy birthday, Leo, fellow Leo. Cindy Skian, Lordy, he had it twice. If you want more of this publication and more info on this guy, I posted an article today about this. It's a little bit long, but it's worth a read, and read it carefully because some of it's confusing, but it's all well written in a way, not by me, but by a science writer who explains it really well. So take a look. Okay. Jimmy, okay, we need more cases like this to get the bigger picture. Absolutely, Lisa. This is just one that we know of where they were able to compare the initial viral infection to the secondary viral infection, and they had the ability to look at the genomic sequencing. So yes, definitely more studies like this need to start being looked at and being kind of considered in the vaccination process. Okay. So is there a way you can tell if we've had it? Yes. A blood test? Yes. Is it available yet? Now the other night, Haley, I said that you could go to the GP and request a coronavirus blood test. I know I said that, but guess what? I went back and I read all about it, and only in very, 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 very special cases are they doing this in hospitals. So even though it's written out there in the guidelines that it's available, can't get it for everyone. So can you tell whether you've had it? Yes, there's blood tests, but how you get one at the moment to be determined. I know we have the point of care testing, which is that blood prick test. They're out there. It will tell you whether you've got the antibodies, but again, that's only going to show you within the last 2 months if you've had it, because all of the studies that are coming out analysing people who've recovered, they show that the antibodies actually start to decline, and by about 2 months, you don't have any antibodies in your blood. So after 2 months, your protection is very, very low. But as we've seen with this guy from Hong Kong, he was able to call upon a memory response. He had high viral load, but he wasn't showing any signs of infection. They don't talk about his antibody response in this document that I read, but the publication did come out today. So I'm going to read that for us and see if we have any more info coming out. What does the Health Minister of Sweden have to say about this case of reinfection? Probably that it was one case, Angeli. they have gone down the completely different path of coronavirus kind of management, and it has done nothing better for their economy than all of the other methods. The only thing that it's caused for Sweden is actually higher incidence of hospitalization. So, yeah. Are there any studies that you know of that are studying/tracking reinfection rates of COVID patients long term? There would be. I don't know anything off the top of my head, but COVID Data, I think, is one of the websites where they're tracking publications. So we can have a look at that and see some of the long-term tracking of patients, because they are tracking them to look at systemic, which means systemic impacts of the disease. So what's happening all around their body to those blood vessels and different organs of people who've had severe COVID-19. I don't know about people who have had mild COVID-19, but there's definitely monitoring going on, but I don't know specific institutes off the top of my head. I know that looking at, so today I went through 220 Australian scientists who are working on COVID-19 and had a look at what the areas of research they're doing, and a lot of people are looking at blood samples of recovered patients and how they're tracking down the line after infection. So yes, there's stuff going on there, but I can't give you an exact thing there. Good question, Angeli. Yep. Priscilla Elazar. Hi, if there are different coronaviruses, yep, does this mean that a vaccine would only protect from one type of virus over another, or is there enough similarity between the viruses that the vaccine would protect against any type of coronavirus? Good question. So the vaccines are going to protect against all of the different strains that we're seeing right now, because it targets the spike protein, which is the crowny, thorny kind of shape on the outside. So as far as a vaccine goes, it's going to cover all of the current changes in the virus. And the thing that we need to understand is that a vaccine actually provides you much higher levels of fake immune response than a natural infection would. So when you get a natural infection, say you get it from someone coughing on you or swapping spit with someone, your virus load is like this big, okay? Then you get sick, you develop an immune response, and gradually you start to make these memory cells and T cell responses and antibodies, which will, in this guy's Hong Kong guy's case, will protect you from a secondary infection, okay? So when you get a vaccine, the pretend dose of the virus, or something that looks like the virus, is actually way up here. So your body makes this huge immune response, and on a secondary infection, it's hoped that you'll get no changes in your kind of physiological responses. So you may get no increased levels of the C-reactive protein. So natural infection and a vaccination, two separate ballparks of ways to push down your immunity. Vaccines are covering everything, all the changes at the moment. So there you go. Hope that answered your question. Did it, Emma? Yep. Okay. Okay, Emma. 23andMe are offering anyone who has had COVID-19 genetic testing. Oh, okay, yep. 23andMe are offering anyone who has had COVID-19 genetic testing for free in order to potentially track and study the implications of the virus. Okay, so what that's about is that, okay, anyone who's tested positive to COVID-19, okay, right, so if you've tested positive to COVID-19, go to the 23andMe website if you want to, and they'll provide you a free genetic test. Now, the 23andMe genetic tests do lots of things. Here in Australia, what it will do is give you your ancestry. That's it. In America and other parts of the world, the 23andMe can drill down into your genome and tell you your susceptibility to different diseases, likelihood of genetic disorders, susceptibility to viruses, the kinds of viral responses you might have, etc., etc. So 23andMe are saying anyone who's had a coronavirus test, who's tested positive to coronavirus, they would like to take your DNA and analyze it for susceptibility to viral infection. So It's up there if you want. Unfortunately, because you live in Australia, most of you who are listening, it's unlikely that you'll actually see the results of that because of the legislation we have around proof of like privacy and genetic information. We won't be able to access the info here as individuals for a personal thing. Okay. Oh no, are they live vaccines? Yeah. What are you talking about? So Lily, the Oxford vaccine is a live vaccine. We had a good chat about this last night. The Oxford vaccine is an adenovirus. So it's a chimpanzee virus, and inside it they have the spike protein. So it's live, but it's not live coronavirus. It's a live vaccine that is able to enter your cells and start producing lots of the spike protein. Thank you, makes sense. Oh, cool. Lisa, I got 23andMe testing before and they banned the health report. Yep, changed around 212. It was awesome. Oh, so you got the health report. Cool. Yeah, I've got other health reports from those different types of genetic testing. It's all about creating, what are we going to call it? Like creating protection for the healthcare system and that kind of stuff, and protection. It sucks. People should be able to access their genetic data if they want to. Just lots of us can't have them, so lucky. Okay, cool. Well, sort of a quick one tonight just to chat about that hot topic. I will be back on Tuesday unless anything like dire comes up. Don't forget that if you are in Queensland, you're now being recommended to wear masks in public places where you can't maintain physical distancing. And I believe the Sydney CBD is now recommending masks because they're being considered a New South Wales hotspot. So if you need a mask, make sure that you're getting them from wherever you can, or jump on the Fartifax website because there's plenty of masks there for adults and children. And yes, okay, I'll see you all on Tuesday. Good night. Hang on, a couple more questions here. Okay. Hi Sarah, are you the scientist working on the vaccine to fix the stupids of the world? Imagine. You can't fix stupid. Stupid is as stupid does. And unfortunately you can't, there's no vaccine for a COVID yet. I wish there was a vaccine to change people's personalities. Imagine anti-narcissism. I'd roll that one out first, I reckon. Night, Julie. Night, Angeli. A little off track, apologies. However, do you know if the recent Frankston Hospital positive cases were reflected in Vic's positive numbers reports today? Don't know. I find the numbers from Franger Hospital so concerning. Have a look on the COVID data. No, what is the M? What's the good one? The one with the Victorian LGA. COVID Live. COVIDlive.com.au. That has the best breakdown of the Victorian LGAs, which stands for local government area. Have a look and it should tell you the breakdown properly for Frankston there. Okay, good night everybody. Sweet dreams and happy birthday, Donovan.